Chapter 6. Is the weather good for fishing? We must think what to do, Papa said. They are suspicious now. To be honest, I thought that if they came here at all, and I hoped they wouldn't, that they would just glance around and see that no place to hide anyone and go away. I'm sorry I have dark hair, Ellen murmured. It made them suspicious. Mamma reached over quickly and took Ellen's hand. You have beautiful hair, Ellen. Just like your mamma's, she said. Don't ever be sorry for that. Weren't we lucky that Papa saw it so quickly and found those pictures? And weren't we lucky that Lisa had dark hair when she was a baby? It turned blonde later on, when she was 2 or so. In between, Papa added, she was bald for a while. Ellen and Amory both smiled tentatively. For the moment, their fear was eased. Tonight was the first time Amory realized suddenly that Mama and Papa had spoken of Lisa. The first time in 3 years. Outside, the sky was beginning to lighten, and Mrs. Johansson went to the kitchen to begin to make tea. I've never been up so early before, Amory said. Ellen and I will probably fall asleep in school today. Papa rubbed his chin for a moment, thinking, You know what? I think we must not take the risk of sending you to school today, he said. It is possible they will look for Jewish children in the schools. Not go to school? Ellen said in amazement. My parents have always told me an education is the most important thing. Whatever happens, I must get an education. This will only be a little vacation, Ellen. For now, your safety is the most important thing. I'm sure your parents would agree. Inga? Papa called Mamma into the kitchen, and she came to the doorway with a teacup in her hand, with a questioning look on her face. Yes, we must take the girls to Henrik's. You remember what Peter told us. I think today would be a good day to go to your brother's. Mrs. Johansson nodded. I think you're right. But I will take them. You must stay here. Stay here and let you go alone? Of course not. I wouldn't send you on a dangerous trip alone. Mamma put her hand on Papa's arm. If only I go with the girls, it will be safer. They are unlikely to suspect a woman and her children. But if they are watching us, and if they see us all leave, if they are aware of the apartment is empty, and you don't go to your office in the morning, then they will know, and then it will be dangerous. I am not afraid to go alone. It was very seldom that Mamma disagreed with Papa. Amory watched his face, and he knew which he was struggling with a decision. Finally, he nodded it reluctantly. I will pack some things, Mamma said. What time is it? Papa looked at his watch. Almost 5, he said. Henrik will still be there. He leaves around 5. Why don't you call him? Papa went to the telephone. Ellen looked puzzled. Who's Henrik? Why does where does he go at 5 in the morning? She asked. Amory laughed. He's my uncle. My mother's brother, and he's a fisherman. They leave very early. All the fishermen each morning. Their boats go out at sunrise. Oh, Ellen, she went on, you will love it there. It is where my grandparents lived. It's where Mama and Uncle Henrik grew up. It's so beautiful. It's right on the water. I can stand at the edge of the meadow and look across to Sweden. She listened to Papa as he spoke on the phone to Uncle Henrik, telling him that Mama and the children were coming for a visit. Ellen had gone into the bathroom and closed the door. Mama was still in the kitchen, so only Anne Marie was listening. It was a very puzzling conversation. So, Henrik, is the weather good for fishing? Papa asked cheerfully. And he listened briefly. Then he continued, I am sending Inga to you today with the children, and she will be bringing you a carton of cigarettes. Yes, just one, he said. After a moment, Amory couldn't hear Uncle Henrik's words. But there are a lot of cigarettes available in Copenhagen now, if you know where to look, he went on. And so there will be others coming to you as well, I'm sure. But it wasn't true. Emery was quite certain it wasn't true. Cigarettes were the one thing that Papa missed, the way Mama missed coffee. He complained often that he had complained only yesterday that there was no cigarettes in those stores. The men in his office, he said, making a face, smoked almost anything, sometimes dried weeds rolled in paper, and the smell was terrible. Why was Papa speaking that way, almost as if they were speaking in code? What was Mama really taking to Uncle Henrik? And then she knew. It was Ellen. The train ride north to the Danish coast was very beautiful. Again and again, they could see the sea from the windows. Amory made this trip often to visit her grandparents when they were alive, and later, after they were gone, to see the cheerful, sun-tanned, unmarried uncle whom she loved. But the trip was new to Ellen, so she sat with her face pressed against the window, watching the lovely homes and the seaside and the small farms and villages. Look, Emery exclaimed, pointed out to the opposite side. That's Clemenborg. And the deer park. Oh, I wish we could stop here, just for a little while. Mamma shook her head. Not today, she said. The train did stop at a small Klampenborg station, but but a few passengers got off. Have you ever been there, Ellen? Mamma asked, but Ellen said no. Well, someday you will go. Someday you will walk through the park, and you will see hundreds of deer, tame and free. Christy wiggled her knee to her knees and peered through the window. I don't see any deer, she complained. They are there, I'm sure, Mamma told her. They're hiding in the trees. The train started again. The door at the end of the car opened and the German soldiers appeared. Amory tensed. Not here. On the train, too? They're everywhere. Today the soldiers strolled through the car, glancing at passengers, stopping here and there to ask questions. Had one of them had stuck in his teeth, so thought something stuck in his teeth, and he probed it with his tongue and distorted his face. Emery watched with a kind of frightened fascination as the pair approached. One of the soldiers looked where they down to the board with a bored expression. Where are you going? He asked. Gilligalee, Mamma replied calmly. My brother lives there. We're going to visit him. The soldier turned away, and Amory relaxed. Then, without warning, he turned back. Are you visiting your brother for the New Year? He asked suddenly. Mamma stared at him with a puzzled look. New Year? She asked. It's only October. And guess what? Christy exclaimed suddenly in a loud voice, looking at the soldier. Amory's heart sank, and she looked at her mother. Mamma's eyes were frightened. Shh, Christy, Mamma said. Don't chatter so. But Christy paid no attention as usual. She looked cheerful at the soldier, and Amory knew what she was about to say. This is our friend Ellen, and it's her New Year. But she didn't. Instead, Christy pointed to her feet. I'm going to visit my Uncle Henrik, she chirped, and I'm wearing brand new shiny black shoes. The soldier chuckled and moved on. Amory gazed through the window again. Trees, the Baltic Sea, the cloudy October sky passed in a blur. They continued north along the coast. Smell the air, Mamma said when they stepped off the train and made their way to the narrow street. Ah, isn't it lovely and fresh? It always brings back memories for me. The air was breezy and cool and carried a sharp, not unpleasant smell of salt and fish. High against the pale clouds, seagulls soared and cried out as if they were mourning. Mamma looked at her watch. I wonder if Henrik will be back yet. But it doesn't matter. The house is always unlocked. Come on, girls. We'll walk. It isn't far, just a little under 2 miles, and it's a nice day. We'll take the path along the woods instead of the road. It's a little longer, but it's so pretty. Don't you just love the castle we went through in Healingborg, Ellen? Christy asked. She had been talking about Kronborg Castle ever since they had seen it, sprawling massive and ancient beside the sea. From the train. I wish I could have stepped to visit the castle. Kings live there and queens. Amory sighed in exasperation. Her little sister. They do not, she said. They did in the olden days. But there aren't any kings there now. Denmark only has one king anyway, and he lives in Copenhagen. But Christie had pranced away, skipping along the sidewalk. Kings and queens, she sang happily. Kings and queens. Mamma shrugged and smiled. Let her dream, Amory. I did the same when I was her age. She turned, leading the way along a tiny, twisting street, heading towards the outskirts of the village. Things have hardly changed since I was last a girl, she said. My Aunt Giddy, she lived there, in a house, she pointed. And she's been dead for years, but the house is the same. She always had wonderful flowers in her garden, and she peered over the low stone wall and looked at the few flowering bushes as they passed the house. Maybe they still do, but it's the wrong time of year. There are just a few chrysanthemums left. And see over there, she pointed again. My best friend, her name was Helena. She lived in that house. Sometimes I used to spend the night with her, but more often she came to my house on the weekends. It was more fun to be in the country. My brother Henrik always teased us, though. She continued with a chuckle. He told us the ghost stories and scared us half to death. The sidewalk ended, and Mama turned into the dirt path pondered or bordered by the trees. Oh, when I walked each morning into the town for school, she said, my dog followed me this far at the end of the path, and he turned and went back home. I guess the country dog and didn't like the town. And do you know what? She went on, smiling. I named him Trofast, Faithful, and it was just the right name for him because that the faithful dog he was. Every afternoon he was right here waiting for me to return. I knew the right time somehow, or he knew the right time somehow. Sometimes I come as I come around this bend, even today I feel as if I might come upon Trofast waiting still with his wagging tail. But the path is empty today. No people, no faithful dogs. Mamma shifted her bag she was carrying from one hand to the other, and they walked through the woods until the path opened into the meadow, dotted with cows. There was a path skirted at the edge of the field along a fence, and beyond that you could see the gray sea, ruffled by the wind, the breeze moving in the high grass. And at the end of the pasture they entered the woods. Anne-Marie knew they would soon be at Uncle Henrik's house when the clearing beyond the woods. Do you mind if I run ahead? She asked suddenly. I want to be the first to see the house. Go on, Mamma told her. Run ahead and tell the house that we've come. Then she put her arm around Ellen's shoulders and added, say we've brought a friend.